Alrighty, hello and welcome to the Standpoint. Yes, we are talking about owning your vagina as a woman. Last week we concentrated on the young woman. Today, yes, we'll talk about the young woman, but we'll also talk about you, the mature and married woman, how to own your vagina. My name is Gifty Auntie. Welcome to the Standpoint. Thank you to GTP for my cloth, Ophelia Crossland Design Sews for me. GTP is celebrating 50 years of styling the nation, 50 years of still being timeless. Makeup by Aligina Makeover. Makeup product by Paba Cosmetics. My beading needs, my accessories have been taken care of by MHC Matilda Hood Couture. We take a short break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest and then we'll get rolling.
When it comes to your family, turn to the anti-malarial you can trust. Marital. Marital is a highly effective artemether lumefantrine anti-malarial available in syrup and tablets, specially formulated for children and adults. Keep the whole family healthy with Marital.
Oyo best my power.
Tina take tomac mixture. Who be only osani ye fuyeri be nyasem. Sana tina tet malake no so. Etu malaria, tipaye, stress, any hunam yao biase.
Free 020-816-0807 and 0276-875629.
Tina €13.
Eye busien chamfa.
GDA Concepts, producers of the Standpoint TV program, is offering the following services. Studio space available for rent for video shoots and conferences with seating capacity of 120 people at an easily accessible location. Standby generator available. Conference chairs also available for hiring. Sale and rental of Sony Z7 cameras. You can also contact us for video coverage for events, event organization, documentaries, TV commercials, etc. Locate us at 55 Olympic Avenue, Kokomlemle, near Joy FM. Call 050-133-9642 or 0544-844-122.
Welcome back. Well, as you know, the Standpoint is sponsored by Anti-Mary Gripe Water and
Marital.
Produced by Ernest Chemist. We are also sponsored by Anointed Electrical Engineering Services, the generator expert. This program is also aired on ABN TV on Sky Channel 235, which is across Western Europe, parts of Canada and Asia, and of course North Africa as well. Our website www.thestandpoint.com.gh is powered by Dream Over. We are talking about owning your vagina as a woman, and seated right opposite me, I have Mrs. Edith Asari Mensah. She is a public health expert, reproductive and child health, LECMA Health Directorate. Good to have you on the Standpoint again.
Thank you, Gifty.
In fact, thank you for staying on for the part 2.
Thank you too.
And then next to her, I have Mr. Salom Kofi Azuma, Senior Advisor at IPAS Ghana, Health Practitioner and a Reproductive Health Advocate. He is also a counselor. Thank you for staying on.
My pleasure. Thank you, Gifty.
Right. Next to Salom, I have Angela Dako Pari, volunteer at the ACK Foundation Ghana. Thank you for staying on as well.
Thank you.
Now, last week we rounded up or wrapped up on the issue of abortion. And I had to cut you at some point. But we had talked about the importance of knowing why you need to keep your virginity, why you shouldn't allow just anybody to have sex with you. And indeed, those who missed it, after this episode, you can go back to our website, www.thestandpoint.com.gh, and watch it. But you were about to give us some revelations about the kind of abortions that are going on these days.
We went into this community where they have a whole place that they designated as an abortion zone. In fact, it's demarcated as an abortion zone. So if you get pregnant and you don't want it, you go to that zone. It has a small hill, so you climb. Then you have to jump. How do you say that? You kind of jump down with your two legs opened. The expectation is that with the force with which you landed, you should see the blood flowing. And once that happens, abortion is done.
Here in Ghana.
Here in Ghana. In the same community, you have a particular plant that is supposed to be poisonous. And so you would cut the stem of that plant, tie a rope around it, insert the plant into your vagina, and you rope your tie with the rope that you tie on the branch that you cut off. And it is expected to explode inside you. Now, the reason you are tying the rope here is to make sure that when that explosion happens, the rope will pull the piece out. If that doesn't happen, the explosion occurs and it remains in there, you poison yourself and you are gone. And that is the extent to which today we are not talking about the grounded bottles and the mixture of Guinness and paracetamol. You are taking about 20 tablets of para mixed with Guinness and then you are done. But that's the extent to which young people are going, just because of one single decision that you've made which went against you.
But see, my point is, Angela, if you know that you don't want to get pregnant, right? You don't want the pregnancy. So then why do you have sex? And especially, why do you have unprotected sex?
It's what I also find very difficult to wrap my head around. We have to start being very responsible. We have to start taking complete charge of our bodies, of our vaginas, of our everything. Because, I mean, he was just relaying everything and I just couldn't sit down. I was just cringing. If you're not ready to get pregnant, either make a decision to not have the sex or protect yourself. And Auntie Edith said something. The plenty emergency contraceptive pills and all of that, they will do us no good. So try and stay pure. But when you, I mean, there are other family planning methods.
I'm just wondering, apart from the pressure aspect of it, why do people like to have sex?
Sex is sweet. I mean, that's being very funny. Sex is sweet. Yes. So some, besides procreation and all, some just want to have sex because of the sweetness there is to it.
No, I ask because sometimes it's not just about the sweetness. Sometimes it's about holding on to something. People think that, especially young people think that giving sex to a man is what will make him stay with you.
And we always end up wrong. I can actually say that I know so many relationships, we are living testimonies of it, that we thought having sex with that man was going to keep him for you, and then in the end he's somewhere, he's married to someone else, or he's living his life and you're living yours. It's not sex that keeps a man. And we spoke about all of the pressures and everything last week. I want to go a little bit religious. I mean, if you have a man and you believe strongly you love him, and that feeling is reciprocated, then what the two of you should be doing is to pray more and try to build your relationship up more in a more pure way. It's not sex that can make a man stick with you. I mean, today it is doggy that is in vogue. Tomorrow it could be a different style, maybe tiger style. And are you trying to tell me that you can be an expert in tiger style as well? So it's not the sex. It's something bigger and deeper. Every relationship I know that has always been based on sex always lands in rocks, because the love is supposed to go deeper than just the physical desire for your body.
Right.
It's supposed to be somebody who sees what you have in you and is ready to even help you to bring all your potential out.
Right.
So it's not the sex and everything.
Auntie Edith, is it? I think that sometimes it boils down to self-worth.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you think all you're good for is for sex, all you have for a man to stay with you is sex, then you will give sex.
Yeah.
Some say practice makes
Perfect.
So you start early.
Then you get there early. And I think during the last week we met, we were talking about the fact that when you start early, it leads to a lot of issues. One, there are some of the sexually transmitted infections that are incurred when you have early exposure to sex. A typical one is the human papilloma virus, where we pick and then it's introduced into you through sex, and then you can develop a cervical cancer.
And there's hepatitis B.
Yes, as well. And then other things. For instance, if you incur a chlamydia infection, it goes on. You didn't get treatment, you go back, you enter your fertility stage, you want to have children, and that is where your ovaries are twisted and all those things. Actually, pregnancy cannot take place. Where the man also is infected, the semen or the sperm count is low because the sperms are infected. They are there a lot, but they can't function. So these are some of the repercussions. You may also end up with chronic infections like the HIV. And then this is where you are infected and going to be on treatment for life. Some could even end up dying. And let me tell you one thing. These men, they are very curious and they are serious. And they are very intelligent. And the very guy that used you in your adolescent stage might not be the person to marry you. He may want a new thing altogether in future. And then, like she mentioned, these guys go into sex with you, and then later in life you see them getting married to other people because they think they have overused you. Your vagina cannot hold its penis again. I'm very specific with this choice of words.
Yes, be specific.
Yes.
Because really, on the
Yes.
standpoint, we have
Yes.
an agenda
Yes.
to break the so-called taboos
Exactly.
and myths surrounding sex and issues affecting women. We
Yeah.
need to say it as it is.
Yeah. I think last week I defined what the vagina is. The fact that it's a muscle and a hollow organ. And remember, once it's a muscle, it contracts and retracts. And once you keep inserting the penis in there, you are losing the laxity. And therefore, in future, you get a man who is so serious about you, loving you, go to bed once, and he turns away every time you want sex. Do you know the reason why? Some of the men are not able to tell the women that those who are faithful will tell you, I feel you are too big. And that is where they have to resort. Yes. It's very noisy.
Yeah.
And that is where they tend to look for the young one. Yes. These are realities.
Look at them.
Yes. These are realities. They tell you. Yes, it's true, because when I penetrate, a lot of noise in there. The penis cannot hold. And that is where we have issues. Where you have to sit this woman down, teach her on the exercises she must engage in, where she must apply the pillow, hold on to her breath at a point and gather the muscles there. And it's serious. It's serious. Relationships are breaking as a result of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go inserting all sorts of concussions. And then remember, once you insert those concussions, they are not prescribed. For the vagina, the only thing that can go there, apart from the penis, and when you are giving birth, and then when you are menstruating, should be prescribed by someone who has been trained.
So
any other thing,
the only thing that has to go into the vagina, apart from the penis,
exactly, when you are giving birth, and when you are having sex,
the having sex is the penetration, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's the penis. So the only thing,
anything that must go in must be prescribed. But that is where you go in, prescribe for yourself, inserting and doing all sorts of things with the mind of having that place becoming tight. So some go in, and then remember, the vagina as God has created it, as some water fluid, the flora, and then once you insert those things, you lose the potency of the flora, and therefore the place become a potential for other infections. So once you go in with all those things, and then forget about those care, whatever care you have to do and all those things, it doesn't really help. You see, you want the guy to feel that you are so tight, and then you go in doing all those things. But let me remember, he goes in, the muscle, as for God, once the cells have been created, they degenerate. So once you go in with all those things, it affects you.
And when it gets out of hand, don't worry, you can't go to a prophet to pray for you, for you to tighten up.
You might be somewhere, and then once you enter, everyone hold their nose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you smell. Anyway, let me take a break. When we come back, we'll look at married women and really mature women who also allow themselves to, in fact, not allow themselves, but allow themselves for their vaginas to be misused. We'll be back.
Hush, my little baby.
For babies' tummy pains, minor digestive upsets, or teething, caring mothers everywhere use Auntie Mary's Baby Gripe Mixture. It's quick, effective, and sure to leave babies smiling again in no time. Auntie Mary's Baby Gripe Mixture from Ennis Chemist, because everyone needs a chemist.
Odo, oyo besuma pao. Kwasuwa num tinated venicare wati. Winim say, tinated venicare. Enum kwane bibidra. Clinically no, ya testing with Department of Pharmacology and Microbiology at University of Ghana on Medical School.
Sir?
Omudu stamp we say bye. Minia, num tinated venicare what?
Hey, tinated ambassador.
Aboye papa. Free 020-816-0807 and 0276-875629.
Tina 13 euro.
When it comes to your family, turn to the anti-malarial you can trust. Mala 2. Mala 2 is a highly effective artemether-lumefantrine anti-malarial available in syrup and tablets, specially formulated for children and adults. Keep the whole family healthy with Mala 2.
Welcome back to the Standpoint, and let me say thank you to our supporters: Mac Catering Services, House of Foods, Cake Technique, Pilco Fruit Juices, and Gogot Yogurt. Awake Purified Mineral Water by Casa Preco Company Limited. My pot is by Matames. They are in Tema, Gulf City. If you need them, the address is being crawled on the program, or you can contact us and we will direct you to them. Thank you to MSC Matilda Hoods Couture. They provided us with the centerpiece and the coffee tables and the other decor as well. But it was all put together beautifully by me. So clap for me. Well, welcome back. Auntie Edith, there are some mature women and married women too who allow themselves, or who do not own their vaginas. They are married but still don't know how to use their vaginas and take care of their vaginas. They tell them that well, you have to do everything to keep your man. And the best way to keep a man in a home, especially when you're married, is to have sex. Is it true? To give him sex.
The perception of some women. Some too may differ. And I must say that those who perceive that sex will keep the marriages, what their opinions are. But I'm not of that opinion that sex can keep the marriage. As a woman, you are married to a man, and it's an agreement. One is for procreation, when one is to satisfy your marriage vows. Fine, you can give sex, but not giving it excessively in order to hold on. If a man says he's going to go out, he will go out, irrespective of how many times you give him sex. He will. But some women too, I must say, here that it's an attitude they form from the adolescent stage, and then they couldn't get anyone to counsel them, and as a result, they can't stay without sex. I must say that a man in choosing a wife must be careful in the choice. You might meet a woman, or you know the woman, excuse me to say, is a social worker in terms of a sex worker. And then this person is someone.
Is a what?
A sex worker.
No, it's a what? Social worker.
Yes.
Sex
Yes. Yes. So this is a woman who have a lot of men at a point within a little time. So if you pick on this woman,
she's fulfilling a social service.
Yes.
The men out there, they need sex.
So when you pick this woman to your home as a wife, that is where we have issues where by the time the man came back from work, she was in bed with another man. Yes, because he's a woman for the public. And you went in, you want to champion it as a World Cup.
He did has got terms, you know.
Yes, you want to champion it as a World Cup. Meanwhile, she's there. So she will tell you, if you can't, you have to quit.
You know, Salam, the amazing thing is, I mean, and my problem is, because women are told that, married women are told that, you know, if your husband goes out for extramarital affair or goes out to have sex with somebody, then it's your fault. So women will do everything and anything to keep the man at home.
Marriage is not just about sex. There's a lot to it. So if you look at it as a partnership, as a companion, as somebody you are building a home with, you ought to respect everything about. It is not just as men who demand sex. Your wife can equally request for it.
Right.
So when you ask and she says, today I am not in the mood, if you really look at that relationship beyond being limited to sex, you ought to respect that.
Salam, right now, do you know the number of men who will be insulting you?
I know. And that's why I am tempted not to go in the right, it is my right direction. But it is important for women to know that you own your body.
Yeah.
You have a right to decide who to marry, when to have a child, where to have a child, and how to have that child. And at the same so it's the same way that it is that you have the right to say, man, today I'm tired, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So, but because we are in Africa, and so when you talk about rights, people would ask you, okay, so if he's right, go and eat the rights. So everybody is giving in.
Right.
Even when it is affecting you. So it will go back to the issue of communication. Sometimes you don't communicate. You think I should assume and know that because you've been home, doing all the things, you went to work, came back, and you've come to prepare the kids, prepare food, this man should know that I am tired. It doesn't happen that way. There has to be a communication. So when those things are lacking, you are subject to that kind of an abuse.
Right.
And I know, like you rightly said, I'll be insulted, but a responsible man ought to understand the body of your wife.
Let me take another break. When we come back this time, I'll give the last quarter to you to ask all the questions you want concerning owning your Owning your vagina. Owning your vagina. This is the standpoint. We are sponsored by Anointed Electrical Engineering Services, the generator expert,
Mala 2.
and anti-Mary gripe water, produced by NS Chemist. Thank you to GTP. Thank you to Aligina Makeover, Paba Cosmetics, Matilda Hood Couture, Pots by Matamis, and Paba Cosmetics gives us the makeup product. My dress was sewn by Ophelia Crossland Designs. We take a break. When we come back, it's time for questions.
GDA Concepts, producers of the Standpoint TV program, is offering the following services. Studio space available for rent for video shoots and conferences with seating capacity of 120 people at an easily accessible location. Standby generator available. Conference chairs also available for hiring. Sale and rental of Sony Z7 cameras. You can also contact us for video coverage for events, event organization, documentaries, TV commercials, etc. Locate us at 55 Olympic Avenue, Kokomlemle, near Joy FM. Call 050-133-9642 or 0544-844-122.
Back to the standpoint. Yes, we are about to wrap up this particular conversation that started last week about owning your vagina as a young woman and indeed as a woman. You know, we've talked a lot about it. It's time for those in my audience to ask questions. But let me say thank you to Awake Purified Mineral Water, Go-Got Yogurt, Daily Fruit Juices, and of course, Cake Technique and Mac Catering Services. They make sure that we are really sorted out properly. Yep, cleaning services takes care of our environment and cleans up the environment for us. Then let me go straight to the audience.
I wanted to find out, giving birth, okay, the process of giving birth expands the vagina. Yeah. And we are talking about the fact that the vagina won't be
it can become loose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the men will complain. But if you are married and you give birth, does it contract back to its original position? And also, is it true that women are deciding to go through CS instead of the normal birth to keep their vaginas tight?
My question is, these days, ladies are being exposed to using drugs, concussions that will increase their excitement and orgasms during sexual intercourse. How is it harmful to our health?
I think I'll come from the angle of where she's talking about the fact that we are told that when you get pregnant, you give birth. And since the vagina is a muscle, it contracts and retracts. Is it going to go back its former state? Once it has been used for childbearing and sex, it wouldn't go, though it might go back, but not be the same as you were a virgin. But there's a way to go about it. After your delivery, you are taken through some exercises. But if you have already overused the vagina, that is, yes. That it looks like when the vagina has been exposed to a lot of wars and has become a veteran. Yes. There's a difference between a veteran and a novice.
Mercy, Lord.
Yeah, before you got married and got pregnant and then have your child, That is where the issue is. But then the success stories, we have certain exercises that we teach the woman to do. So what we all want to do is that as the theme or the discussion is centered on owning your vagina, own your vagina now, set the parameters that you are not going to have excessive sex. Even if you should have it, you should be responsible. I know it's a natural instinct. You can't run away from it, but the good book, which is the Bible, states that your body is the temple of the living God.
But is it true, if you can, because of time, so we keep it tight? You know, the CS people are. Is it true women are opting for CS now because they don't want to?
A study having revealed that we don't have an empirical evidence now to state, but I know some women will actually request that they do a cesarean section for them. Yes, because they don't want to go through the pain. Exactly, for that reason.
That's also
but
a
not
choice,
because
right?
they want to hold the vagina. Yes.
Okay, all right then. Okay, Salom, so
Thank you.
The question about sex enhances.
You know,
That one can make you go like, the woman, you can go for like how many hours? 4 hours.
you know, the sex enhancement facilities or whatever we call them, they are like the medication that you take when you are hypertensive, right? When you're hypertensive, you'll be on medicine almost for the rest of your life. When you stop taking it, what happens? What will happen? So, the sex enhancement thing might give you enjoyment for a short period. If you become addicted, what that means is that every time and any time that you have to engage, you need that. Anything short of that, you can't perform and perform well. And that's where the trouble will begin. Every medicine or drug has a side effect. So those concussions, you don't know the chemicals that they are made up of. And they have a negative effect on your body. And eventually, it can destroy you.
My name is Diana from GIJ. My question is, if a woman decides not to have sex with any man because she wants to protect herself, but then hide behind doors, masturbate, or satisfy herself with sex toys, is she still, protecting or keeping her vagina?
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then if I'm married and I'm menstruating, but my husband wants to have sex with me, and then I say no because it's against my religion, and he says, okay, then I'm going out. What should the woman do?
Okay, my question is how to take care of our vagina from any vaginal odor, especially during our menses. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Mavis from GIJ. When it comes to sexual abuse issues, I know that women have rights in that regard. But do we have centers that cater for such things? And if we have, are the laws sleeping on that? Is the system bureaucratic for a woman to report the husband or the boyfriend for being sexual abused or something? Is the system bureaucratic if you want to report such issues?
Auntie, which one would you take?
I'll pick on how to care for the vagina during menstruation.
Yeah.
Actually, for your menstruation, you must pick a pad or a sanitary pad that is not open, that is new, sealed, that you must open yourself. And if you are the type that bleeds a lot, as you move along during the day, you should carry some along so that you can change it. And also during your menstruation, please avoid inserting your finger there. And also change the pad as often as possible. And then when washing the place, don't use soap, just an ordinary water. Allow the place to dry very well before you put on the next pad. In case you have an odor, ideally the vagina doesn't smell, but in case you have an odor, you need to report. One thing we should also take note of is the vagina itself has a natural flora, which is colorless, it doesn't smell, it's not profuse. But when you start having odor, itching, and all those things, it means there is a sign of infection. So you need to report. Don't go buying deodorant for the vagina and all those things. It doesn't really help. Yes, I know some ladies who use deodorant for the vagina. Yes, because they want to.
And all that.
Exactly.
Perfume
Please don't
for every
go
part
in.
of the body.
You alter the potency of the flora. Yes, because the flora there is supposed to sweep away any infection. So when you go in inserting all sorts of things, and even your fingers, it's not supposed to go into your vagina. As a woman, when bathing, the only place you can wash is the vulva, and then keep it clean. Do this, and then one day, just wash your fingers very well. Insert your finger in, put it at your nostril. It doesn't smell.
Do you even know what the vulva is?
That is why I wanted to read the anatomy.
Talk about, vagina.
Yes.
They think it's the
outer,
vulva, the outer,
yes. The minority, the majora.
Yes.
The whole, okay? The whole beneath, before your rectum, where you defecate through, is the vagina. Yes, when menstruating, when the blood flows through, it's your vagina. So please avoid, don't allow the guys to be putting their fingers there. These guys hold doors, they do all sorts of things, and then they meet you in the night to satisfy their sexual drives. Then they start putting those dirty fingers in there. Within a little time, you start having itching, and becomes a problem. When they ask, oh, me, I'm a virgin, but why are you having the itching? It's because you've allowed the guy to put the fingers around. And they have a way of doing it. They want to hold it in such a way that they want you to have an orgasm.
Right.
And you think it's nonsense, but it is.
Right. Salam, which one are you taking?
Well, I think there was a question on masturbation.
Yes, it's using of sex toys and all that. And then the religious aspect of it, if you're having your menses and is it wrong, Auntie? Is it wrong to have sex during your menses when you're menstruating?
When menstruating and you have sex, you can imagine, the whole place becomes messy. So I think you need to discuss with your partner if you can avoid it during that period. But some women also ovulate during their menstruation. So they're exceptional. So for such a woman, she can have sex during her menstruation. There's 1 out of 100.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so just adding on
the use of toys.
Yeah, the issue about masturbation, medically and clinically, as I have read, it doesn't cause your body any problem, any harm. But it has social implications. Because when you become used to masturbating, when you get into marriage, even when your man is there, ready to act, you will feel satisfaction more in your masturbation than giving in to the man. And that is where the problem is. And that's where we encourage that masturbation is not an alternative to penetrative sex.
And she was also asking whether you can have infections through that.
Yes, you can. Just like Auntie Edith is saying, those sex toys, how do you keep them? How do you maintain them? How do you preserve them? So they're lying somewhere, you pick, just
clean it,
and then you can introduce all kinds of foreign material into your system, and that creates an infection. And remember, for women, infections that remain untreated have a long-term implication for even your fertility as a woman. So it's not an option.
Sister, maybe you take the
system and how bureaucratic it is. Okay, we have evolved. The systems have gotten better. Now it's up to the women to actually have the courage to walk up and then report these abusive situations. At ACT Foundation, which is a women's rights organization, we day in and day out have such record of instances, and I can confidently say we do not sit down and allow anything to succumb the actions we need to take. Now things are better than before, where you even bring the issue up and it was nothing for the authorities. But because of the many sensitization and the actions we have taken in the past, things are way better than they used to be before. But then we always live life forward. So we are just anticipating and pushing for better and stronger institutions and then measures. But then we have a shelter for abused women, that is ACT Foundation. In fact, we are the only women's rights organization in the entire country
that has a well-established
shelter for abused women. So we are not relenting. Now, we just need to try and encourage women who are in abusive relationships. It would interest you to know it's not just women in marriages who are being abused. On our campuses, the Legons, the KNUSTs, the professional institutions, you see some women in very abusive relationships where their boyfriends are beating them up and they are cooking for them on top and they are having sex with them.
And washing for them.
Yes. I mean, these are people you need to encourage to come out. Because if he's not even married to you now and he's doing this to you, can imagine when he has paid your bride price and he's living with you in his home. So now things have improved, we have evolved, we are still getting better, the measures have improved, the institutions are getting better, but try and encourage women around you to take their lives into their own hands.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Auntie Edith. Thank you, Selom, and thank you, Angela, for 2 solid enlightening programs, you know, very, very revealing. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. You're glad you came. Yes. And I hope that people watching out there too enjoyed it. But I'll take a break. When I come back, I'll give you just a little bit of me. You know, last week during a bit of me, I made a comment that sometimes you get to a certain position and you look back and you see some of the people or think about some of the people you have actually had sex with, and you feel so ashamed and you have so much regret and anger. And to quote Calibos, you say to yourself, so you have the opportunity of having knowledge at this time about the pros and the cons. Nobody is telling you that be Virgin Mary. We are telling you that have the information, have the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Life is actually about power play. The powerful and the less powerful. But a powerful woman is the one who has control over her vagina. If you own your vagina, you are indeed powerful. Among sex workers, there are some who are the highest paid. Even among sex workers, what is your price? How much do you want to be bought for? It's your decision. I do understand that sometimes you are compelled. Sometimes you have no choice. There is rape. There are those who are raped and they didn't have much choice. But if you're doing it because of a man's love, a man you're not even married to, just a boyfriend, please, I repeat, be wise. Own your vagina. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week.